Okay, we get set up over here. Well, that's weird. Okay, are we good? We're live? I think we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Man, I heard this morning the news. There's supposed to be a press conference. Let me pull up the link. Alex Murdaugh's attorneys accusing this, trying to find the clerk of court, I believe. Let me see. Motion. Okay, the clerk, Rebecca Hill, the clerk of court, tampered with the jury by advising them not to believe Murdaugh's testimony. We're gonna get into all that. Let me just get warmed up here. I was, do we have notifications, by the way? Oh, I left my phone. No! I can't do anything without my phone. Okay. Let's stream the trial. Let's see what we got going on. Here we go. Here we go.
Tirelessly to ferret out the truth.
Oh.
Alex Murdaugh maintained and still maintains
I'm gonna rewind it a bit.
His innocence in the...
They started early. Okay, yeah. They started a couple minutes early. All right.
Is that good?
All right.
Okay, so...
Supposed to button your jacket? Yeah, button.
Yeah, button your... What?
Supposed to button my jacket?
Yes. So I'm going to read a statement. Jim Griffin will have a couple words to say, and then we'll answer questions. Today, Jim Griffin and I filed a petition based on newly discovered evidence with the South Carolina Court of Appeals to stay Alex Murdaugh's appeal while a hearing is held on a motion for a new trial. Currently, we've sent a request to the South Carolina U.S. Attorney to open a federal investigation into the violation of Alex Murdaugh's civil rights. The allegations in the petition filed today speak for themselves, but we believe they explain a number of peculiarities in the 6-week trial. We request that SWED stand down on initiating any investigation of these allegations since they are heavily invested in maintaining Alex's convictions. We suggest they wait for the Court of Appeals to rule and receive direction from the trial court. If the Court of Appeals remands the case for an evidentiary hearing, if the Court of Appeals remands the case for an evidentiary hearing, we would also request that those in the media and the public respect the privacy of those included in this filing. Jim and I want to thank those on our team who stand behind us and have worked tirelessly to ferret out the truth. Alex Murdaugh maintained and still maintains his innocence in the murder of Maggie and Paul and believes the truth will ultimately prevail. Jim?
The right to a jury trial.
Stand over here.
The right to a jury trial is a fundamental principle of our justice system. Jurors must be free from outside influences and must decide the case solely on the evidence presented in the courtroom, subject to the rules of evidence, subject to the rules of the court, and, most importantly, subject to the crucible of cross-examination that's guaranteed by the Sixth Amendment to the Constitution, and that is the right to confront witnesses. When jurors receive private communications outside the confines of a public courtroom, the Sixth Amendment is violated and numerous other constitutional rights are violated. And that's not Jim Griffin on the law, that is the law of the land. And I want to quote from a decision from the South Carolina Court of Appeals, which is behind me, and states this: where there is a private communication of a court official to members of the jury, an occurrence which cannot be tolerated if the sanctity of the jury system is to be maintained, a new trial must be granted unless it clearly appears that the subject matter of the communication was harmless and could not have affected the verdict. What we had filed today, supported by sworn testimony of jurors, is that the clerk of court had improper private communications with the jurors, and the subject matter of those communications was the credibility of the defense that the Murdaugh legal defense team put up, and it was the believability of the defendant's own testimony. Now, there's been a lot of talked about whether Alex should have taken the stand. I can assure you, when we considered what factors and what we should and should not do and considered whether he should take the stand, we never considered the likelihood, as reported to us by the jurors, that the clerk of court would go in to the sanctity of the jury room before he testified and tell the jurors, don't be fooled by his testimony. Watch out for his body language. And that is what the sworn testimony that we have filed in court today says. And if that is true, which we have every reason to believe that it is, and no reason to believe that it's not, there's no choice but the courts to grant a new trial.
Thank you. Any questions? No?
No.
Okay.
No questions.
So the person was pulled away at those cells. Did you guys see that, or did you find out after the fact?
Well, I think we observed it. We did. No, I was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was there. I watched it. But, I mean, look, we were not looking to impute any nefarious conduct. But clearly what the jurors reported to us, that they were off talking, the forelady and the clerk. I saw them together, but, you know, I wasn't watching. I believe, look, I've been doing this almost 50 years. The bedrock of any trial, and I've done hundreds of them, is that the clerk of court is the person that makes sure the jury gets their food. If they're put up for the night, someplace to stay, their travel accommodations are met. They're not someone that ever should talk to them about the case. I've never had it happen. Again, I've been doing this for a very long time. Never heard of it happening until this case.
And one thing we want everyone to understand, that the clerk of court is an elected official by the people, not appointed by the judge, not appointed by the judiciary. It's a public official who's elected and is an independent state actor. And so that what we are complaining about in the motion that we filed today is the conduct of an elected official, not conduct by Judge Newman or anybody in the unified court system.
And I think it's important also to understand that she is a state actor, and that's why we forwarded today a letter to the U.S. Attorney asking them to open an investigation into the violation of Alex Murdaugh's civil rights by a state actor under color of state law.
I believe you guys had 4 jurors that you had affidavits for in the paperwork you filed. Did they reach out to you, or did you guys reach out to them?
Well, this is an interesting story. Let Jim tell you.
So immediately in the aftermath of the verdict, we had received information that we needed to look into what happened in the jury room. We started down that road, and we met a zone of silence. No jurors would speak to us. And so we were, you know, what I like to call, we were given the Heisman, right? And then when the clerk of court wrote her book, published her book, that zone of silence collapsed. And jurors were upset about that, the ones we talked with, and they were more than willing to come forward and tell us the things that we had sort of heard through a whisper campaign. But, and so as a result of that, we were able to interview some jurors. Now, there's still a number of jurors who maintain that zone of silence, who have not talked to us. We did try to reach out to most all of them that we could get in touch with, but the information we got, I can tell you, was independent of each juror. The first juror we talked to, we got information about Ms. Hill saying, "Don't be fooled." And then the second juror, independent of the first juror, says the same thing, and the third juror, independent of the other two, say the same thing. And so we're very confident that the information is accurate.
Well,
Expectation timeline.
what
When a ruling will be, how fast do you want?
ask them. I mean, we don't have any control over that. We just did receive a notice from the Court of Appeals that the Attorney General has 10 days to respond to our motion. Okay? Now, I think what's interesting to me, again, having done this for so long, is that once we had that initial contact with that first juror, we began going around. We had a list and knocking on, literally on Sundays, knocking on jurors' doors, asking them to speak with us. Some of them wouldn't come out. Some of us told us never to come back. But some did, and some talked to us. I'll give you an example. And one of the things we heard was, once the jury went out, even though there were 6 smokers and they were given smoke breaks during the entire trial, once the jury went out, they were told, no more smoke breaks. No, you people that want nicotine, you're going to have to get a verdict first.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it's that kind of stuff. Now, that indicates
Not
something, and the clerk would be the one to communicate that. Well, why? So A bunch of folks told us stuff that appeared to be inconsequential, but in the total context indicated to us that what we've put in this petition about the clerk is credible, and based on sworn testimony from 2 jurors, and we interviewed a third. My paralegal, Holly Miller, has given you an affidavit or filed an affidavit on what she told us. A lot of these folks just don't want to get involved, but they're going to be involved if we get a hearing, because each and every one of them is going to have to testify in an open court before you as to what happened and what didn't happen. Wait, one at a time. Who?
It would appear that Judge Newman was at least aware of some of the allegations that you talked about in your motion. For example, the Facebook post with juror 785, and the judge actually said, "Oh boy, I'm not too pleased about the clerk interrogating a juror as opposed to coming to me and happening to me."
And that's a good point. There's no suggestion that the judge did anything untoward. But what that does do, if it comes back, he may end up being a witness.
Oh, shit.
So, I mean, but until the Court of Appeals acts, that issue does not have to be dealt with.
Well, and the judge.
The fact is that the court was aware of some of these issues, but still didn't intervene. How concerned are you?
We don't know. We don't know that he didn't intervene. That's why I'm saying he's a witness. We need to know.
Feel that this evidence is strong enough such that it could have changed the verdict had it been introduced in trial.
You know, that's not the legal test. The legal test is the subject matter prejudicial to the defense. It's not would it have made a difference in the outcome. Was the subject matter of the improper private conversation material to the defense? If it's immaterial, like what do you want to have for dinner? Do you want to take a smoke break? Do you want to go home? Those are immaterial matters. But when the subject matter is, and is reported under oath by these jurors, it was a direction on how you should receive Alex Murdaugh's testimony. You should look at him. Don't be fooled by him. That subject matter is absolutely material. That's the core of our defense, and that is something that we had no chance to defend against. And so we strongly believe if that evidence is accurate, and the law will require a new trial.
If this is all true, do you think the clerk should be criminally charged?
When was the last
No
time
comment.
you spoke with your client, and what has he shared with you with this latest motion?
Well, I can't talk about attorney-client privilege information. I can tell you that when I shared with him the affidavits, he's a lawyer. He was astonished. He was shaking. He was in disbelief, and he thanked Mr. Harpootlian, Mr. Barber, and myself for spending our weekends on dirt roads in Colleton County.
And by the way, we've seen more of Colleton County on dirt roads, in places we're city boys, we didn't believe existed in this state, looking for folks that would talk to us. A lot of doors slammed in our face. A lot of doors slammed in our faces. I'm sorry?
You think Ms. Hill should still have her job?
No comment. I'm sorry. What?
Oh!
From the ex-husband of the dismissed juror. There's a lot of detail in there about that. And there's some in-camera transcripts there as well. Was this not something that just happened very quickly? The fact that you guys are alleging it didn't exist at all and perhaps was conspired to be created to get this juror dismissed?
Yes.
That's a very serious allegation.
It's all serious. Everything we've alleged, everything in those affidavits is serious. This is a very serious matter. And again,
So what you see in the sworn testimony that's been filed today is Ms. Hill told the court that there was a Facebook post by this juror's ex-husband. The ex-husband has filed an affidavit saying, "I've never posted a Facebook post." Ms. Hill in her office says he must have deleted it. We can't find it. But they produced a Facebook post from someone with the same name apologizing for an earlier Facebook post and that Satan made him do it, and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, no.
And Ms. Hill related that as being this juror's ex-husband. Ms. Hill had this juror's ex-husband's photograph. You can match them up. They don't match. And what we do know, and we laid it out in detail in our brief, is that the apology Facebook post was posted, I think, on February 16th, and said we had deleted it the day before, February 15th. Ms. Hill is telling Judge Newman on February 23rd that I just saw this Facebook post. Impossible. Impossible. We also have in there sworn testimony that Ms. Hill told this juror that SLED went out and confirmed with your ex-husband that he posted that.
SLED.
Not true, according to the sworn testimony.
And Phil Barber and I and Howie Miller from my office went down and interviewed the ex-husband, and he allowed us to, I wouldn't know how to do it, but Phil did, to download his entire Facebook history. None of that is in there. So, I mean, again, we've done what we can do. We're not the police. You know, we have no way to compel anybody to talk to us or give us anything. We've asked very nicely. Now, I will say this. The two jurors that gave affidavits have an attorney, Joe McCullough, who was skulking around here a moment ago back there. So if you want to know about those two jurors, you may want to have a chat with him.
What's the motivation of the jurors talking to you?
Wait, what?
What's the motivation, do you think, of the jurors talking to you? Are they upset with
That money. No, just
I
kidding.
think they were upset with the way things went, and the clerk, I think they may very well, yes, they're upset with the clerk. They're upset with the way this played out.
Are they regretting their vote?
Can't comment on that.
The Facebook post, the person who posted the original post, have you ever gotten an opportunity to speak with them? And if so,
No. I mean, the original post, we don't know whether it ever existed.
But the apology post, did you speak with him, Phil?
No, we did not speak.
Do you have a timeline from the FBI regarding your request for your investigation?
Well, as you know, having talked to the FBI before, no. They're not going to tell us anything.
In your letter to the U.S. Attorney, you mentioned the importance of having the FBI investigate as opposed to SLED, for example. Can you talk about the importance of having the FBI get involved?
Well, having anybody but SLED investigate it. SLED is very invested in this conviction. How invested?
SLED.
Well, the agent, David Owens, that testified under cross-examination by Jim, admitted two things. One, he perjured himself in front of the grand jury. And two, he fabricated evidence. SLED made him this year's Law Enforcement Officer of the Year.
Wow.
So is that the agency that ought to be going to jurors? I don't think so. I think that the court, if this is remanded back, the trial court should pick somebody else. If the FBI is not doing it, then there's the sheriff's departments, there are other folks, not Colleton County, but other sheriff's departments that they could go out and interview jurors or bring them to court. I mean, all these jurors are going to end up testifying anyway. There may not be any reason to go out and interview them. They may just put a subpoena on them, bring them to court.
is your appeal to get these jurors to testify under oath in a place where, like you say, with the zone of silence, where they have to go and talk to counsel?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that would happen if we get the hearing that we've requested. That's why we've requested the hearing, so that we can get subpoena power and we can get some subpoena, not just individuals come to court, jurors come to court, witnesses come to court, but subpoena records, phone records, for example, emails, for example. I mean, so with a hearing, we have a broad array of assets at our disposal to bring evidence to court. Right now, we've got nothing except Dick's Mercedes and dirt roads in Colleton County.
Dick.
Are there any jurors who refute what the other jurors are saying?
No, we've not had any juror contradict anything what the other jurors are saying. What you saw in some of the affidavits is the jurors were separated in two rooms and sort of broke up from, guys in one room, gals in another room. I don't know if that was appropriate. Men in one room, females in another room.
Uh-oh.
And so the comments that we've gotten on the sworn affidavits come from the ladies' room, if you will, more so than the men's room. But we do have information that we submitted from one juror where he does acknowledge that she talked to him about evidence, about autopsy photos, and don't be upset about them. I mean, that should not be happening. That should not be happening. And this juror is a smoker, and he relayed to us basically the coercive effect of people who have a nicotine habit not able to smoke
Until they reach a verdict.
Wow.
And so that's what we got.
Wow.
Wait a second. Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Can you read that initial motion you read back to that issue?
Do what now?
The motion you read, can you read that? The very first thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'll read it for you after we get done with this, but I don't think I ought to keep all these folks doing that.
Would you request a change of venue?
Well, you got to get a new trial before you get there, and that's not something we're going to talk about today. And yes, ma'am.
The activities the jurors have given the affidavits for, was that behavior that
12 at one time?
We don't.
Or were they singled out or segregated?
Well, we know some of the statements were made in front of the jurors in the one jury room. Now, understand I think there were only 6 jurors in that room, or maybe 8. I'm not sure, but not all the jurors would have been present for all the statements. Clearly, they were given in one room or the other.
And just to be clear, the catalyst for like reinvestigating this was the publication of the book.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Go ahead.
so we didn't stop investigating, but we were hitting brick walls until her book came out, and then jurors who obviously were not comfortable with how she handled matters were even less comfortable with her going on a book tour and making money off what she did.
Hell
That's
nah.
what was reported to us.
What?
So she has said her book is self-published. That really doesn't sound like somebody who's getting a lot of money. What do you say to that if somebody says, well, she's self-published?
Well, she's trying to make a lot of money. That's the point. I mean, she's trying to make money off of it. She's selling the book. I mean, the question is, was it a successful scheme? I don't know. I mean, if you've read it, I'm not going to give a book review here, but I don't know that you'd buy the book.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it's not well written.
Oh, no.
The story she tells is not accurate, in our opinion, at least the facts as we saw them.
What did you think about the passage of the book that describes going to Roselle with the jurors?
Well, you know, the problem I have with what she says in there is, after going to Moselle, we, if you notice, she used the plural we, felt such and such and such and such. Is that the jurors and her? I mean, I think that's great cross-examination for her when she testifies in this matter before the trial judge, if the Court of Appeals sends it back.
Do you want any hearing in this matter to be public?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want all y'all there. We miss you. Any other questions?
Yeah, you said you're investigating. So along your investigations into the alleged jury misconduct and these allegations, have you uncovered any additional things that you would present in a second trial for your defense?
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, no. If we are lucky enough to get a second trial, you have to wait and see. You know,
Lucky enough.
We're not going to disclose any of that today.
What is your optimism for this motion?
I'm very optimistic that ultimately we will get a new trial. How
You
long
just said
that'll
if you're
take,
lucky.
I don't know.
Have you tried to reach Clerk Hill, ask for any questions about any of this?
We've not reached out to Clerk Hill. We had reached out to some other folks, and based on the information we received, we thought it would be pointless to reach out to her.
Do you have any alternate suspect or suspects?
What now?
Do you have any alternate suspects or suspects in the case?
We're focused on getting him a new trial. That's what we've been working on. Anything else? No? Thank you so much. Let me read this statement to him real quick.
Dick. He should have came out with the gun. Dick. Do I still got that? So we're going to go over some of the details, guys. There's like a 65-page document. Oh, my God. We're just going to skim it. Dick. He pulled out fucking one of the guns during the trial. She was gangster. So apparently this lady, her name is Rebecca Hill, goes and writes a book, the clerk of court, which is just so weird to me because, like, who the F ever thinks about the clerk of courts? I just mean, like, in general, social media. I mean, I don't know, we're watching a trial or a case. Like, who the F are you? Do we even see the person when we're watching the trial? Why would anybody want to read a book from you? I don't know. Were some people saying she was self-snitching? Just make sure it's over. It's over. By the way, I wanted to start the stream earlier before 2:30, but I had to go pick up the baby and stuff. First of all, I want to take a look at Brian Enton. Well, I might have to remove some of the stuff from the screen. Brian Enton gave some highlights. I think we could go over some of the highlights real quick, and then we'll take a look at the actual PDF and just kind of bounce around. I think it started over here about 21 hours ago. It says, I have learned that Alex Murdaugh lawyers have been investigating outside influence on jurors for several months. They have uncovered new evidence. I'm going to South Carolina for the press conference tomorrow when Murdaugh's attorneys file the motion for a new trial. 4 hours ago, just got Alex Murdaugh's motion for a new trial going through it now. His lawyers allege that the clerk of the court tampered with the jury by advising them not to believe Murdaugh's testimony and evidence presented by the defense. So she over here allegedly telling him, giving him advice. And what they're claiming too, which I was kind of shocked. They said that I guess during the what do you guys think? Are they telling the truth or lying? I don't, to me, because I talked briefly with a friend about this. I'm just like, I don't think they're gonna file this motion if they don't have nothing. They claim they have 2 witness testimonies, which maybe we'll be able to see in the 65-page thing. I'm not sure. We'll just maybe look at some of the exhibits on this thing, because this thing is low, bro. This thing low. Okay, because I think we can skip past probably a good portion, like the statement of facts. We know the story. I mean, maybe not new people. Okay. They have different exhibits. I don't know. We might have to read quite a bit of this. But we'll do Enton's highlights first. I don't think I have it in me for 65 pages. A lot. Yeah, we can skip some of this. So, yeah, the nicotine thing to me was wild. So while they're deliberating, allegedly this lady said that, like, you guys can't take a nicotine break until you come up with a verdict. And, you know, some people that have this nicotine thing, they have to have their shit, you know. So I've seen people that are pretty bad without their nicotine in some cases. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they're saying. Murdaugh defense. Oh, did I skip this? Oops. Okay. Defense says Hill had private conversations with the jury 4-person, a court-appointed substitution for the 4-person the jury elected for itself at the request of Miss Hill during the trial. Miss Hill asked jurors for their opinions about the Murdaugh's guilt or innocence. Bruh. Murdaugh defense says during the trial, Carlton County Clerk of Court Rebecca Hill instructed jurors not to be misled by evidence presented in Mr. Murdaugh's defense. She told jurors not to be fooled by Mr. Murdaugh's testimony and his own defense. Murdaugh defense. Ms. Hill did these things to secure herself a book deal and media appearances that would not happen in the event of a mistrial. Wait, did these things to secure herself a book deal? Oh, okay. And media appearances that would not have happened in the event of a mistrial. So they're trying to say she wanted to secure the bag, make sure this guy's found guilty. Miss Hill betrayed her oath of office for money and fame. I never even heard of this lady. What's the name of her book? Can we find her book? I want to see, like, so they said she's self-published, right? Self-publishing says here is when an author publishes their work without a traditional book publisher. This allows the author to retain control of creative decisions, publishing costs, and royalty profits. Rebecca Hill. What's up with the name of her book? I want to see this shit. Rebecca Hill. And he kind of threw a jab. He's like, it wasn't well written or something like that. Rebecca Hill book. I don't know. Maybe one of the mods could find it. This in itself is probably going to give her the promo she wants for that book. Rebecca Hill book. Let's see. Tainted Jury. I don't know. Yeah, I'll let somebody find it. I'll keep moving. Murdaugh's defense. Oh, we got that. Okay, Murdaugh defense clerk of court Hill invented a story about a Facebook post to remove a juror she believed might not vote guilty. So that's crazy. That's the whole Facebook thing that we're just talking about. Book info on Discord. Okay. Hey. Oh, okay. It's on Amazon, huh? Got 172 ratings. Behind the Doors of Justice. I'm giving you the insider. Like you've never seen or heard of before. That's it right there. That's the book. Behind the Doors. Oh, by the way, thank you so much to 50 Shades of Blue for gifting those memberships. Thank you. From the very beginning to end is the true story of Alex Murdaugh double murder trial from a courthouse insider who witnessed it all and more. Nancy Grace, legal commentator and television journalist. She got a co-sign or something? The book is not only historically significant, it is well written and a treat. Pull up a comfortable chair and be prepared to stay there until the last page is read. The inside view really gives the reader insight into what went on in this trial. Trial of the century. What a brilliantly written publication. I love it. Well, I mean, I don't know. She did it herself. I guess it has a 4 out of 5. I guess she's doing all right. I mean, this is not a good look, right? Like, is it worth it though? Thank you, Dix, for the super chat. DM Sir Nisa Marie, thank you for the 7 months. Amazing. Thank you for resubscribing. Mr. and Mrs. Steelers, 15 months. Thank you for resubscribing. I missed Pooty. Withholding nicotine is a war crime. Love you all. Yeah, some people go crazy over that nicotine shit. Murdaugh defense clerk of court invented a story about a Facebook post to remove a juror she believed might not vote guilty. Ms. Hill pressured jurors to reach a quick verdict by telling them from the outset of their deliberations that it shouldn't take them long. I was a little surprised. I remember all of us that were there at that time. Remember how fast that shit was? I was shocked. I don't remember. And they came to a quicker verdict. Let me see. Let me think of this shit. Yeah, they came to a quicker verdict than Letitia Stout trial. I mean, two different trials, but I feel like the Letitia Stout, I don't think there was that much to deliberate over, honestly. I think that was pretty open and shut, I believe. But the Alex Murdaugh trial, I thought there was definitely a conversation to be had. I personally think the guys did it. I have friends that I know people that think he didn't do it. There's people that think he never did this. And so there's people out there that believe Murdaugh still, and they're fighting for his innocence. And so he's claiming still to this day through his attorneys that he didn't do it. So, I mean, I don't know what y'all think. I remember the financial thing, the financial trial. That really was a hell of a trial. That was. I mean, to me, what really, for me personally, what sealed it was the dog. Was it Snapchat or the dog video? The kennels. Was it Bubba? I kind of snapped it. But there's people there that trust and believe in Murdaugh, even though he's lied to like everybody and scammed everybody and swindled everybody. But we're just gonna believe him this time. I believe him. I stand with you. But there's a lot of questionable shit. The trial was funny, man. I mean, as far as like the little 5-inch green man or whatever it was, the 5-inch people or 5 feet people, that shit was so hilarious. The armpit guy, you guys remember the armpit method? Hold on, do I have that shit up here? Oh, did I lose it? Oh no. I had the clip here, but I restarted my computer before the stream. Maybe I still have it here. Do I have it? I wanted to show you guys. Or maybe I should continue with this. Yeah, I don't know where it's at. I had the clips pulled up. Cousin Eddie. Let me see something. Oh, I found it. I think I found it. This it? Yes, armpit guy. Right here. We'll get to that in a second. Let me just stay focused on these updates. Hell of a trial. According to the Murdaugh defense clerk of court, Rebecca Hill allowed jurors to take smoke breaks during the trial, but said no smoke breaks during deliberations. Defense says 6 jurors were smokers. So maybe is that their human rights violated? Rebecca, thank you for the 9 months. Says yesterday was my birthday. Take a shot of coffee with me. Happy birthday. Towards the end of the stream, I'll whip up some coffee. I actually have some good coffee. I got that Bustelo over there too. Happy birthday to you. Cafe Bustelo. Can they do that though? I mean, I don't know. Is that a rule that maybe the jurors aren't allowed to leave so they can be denied to smoke? I mean, but the way she did it, I don't know, coercion. Murdaugh defense claims clerk of court Rebecca Hill pressured jurors to speak to reporters. What? How? How can she do that shit? And traveled with them to NYC to appear in the Today Show? Defense says she also got a book deal behind the... Did she got a book deal? Because I thought she was... Defense says she also got a book deal behind the closed doors of justice. Can we find that shit? Rebecca Hill. Let me see if we can find that, bro. I can't. Why the hell is she traveling with these people? I'm like, who are you? What the fuck you following me? What's that? NYC to appear on Today's Show. Today's Show. Let me see something. Today's Show. Alex Murdaugh. I don't know if she ever, did she actually appear? I don't know why they would want to talk to her ass on there. They have a panel. I remember watching the panel, but did they actually have the clerk lady? Or they leave her in the background? I see the Today Show one. I think they just had the... Damn, you smoke 15 a day?
Duty, you're here this morning. How does it feel when you realize all of the attention? You knew it was a high profile case. Did you understand how many people across the country were watching this?
I don't think it ever really,
you know, she's not on this. I don't know. They're claiming that she traveled with them. I don't know what she's like. She became their agent and shit. I would have been like, yo, get up off me. It's weird as hell. I remember I was a juror on a trial one time because I got selected. And they told us you don't need to talk to reporters. It's your option. It's optional. We just dipped out of there. There's nobody trying to convince me and force me. It should be odd as hell to me. According to the Murdaugh defense clerk of court, according to Murdaugh defense clerk of court Rebecca Hill told juror that everything Mr. Murdaugh has said has been lies. Let me pull it up. Find the next day. Let me do this. Miss Hill once again. Okay. Miss Hill, a picture of her ex-husband, which is not the Facebook profile picture of the other Mr. Stone's post about Satan. That's the whole thing they were just referencing. The next day, March 2nd, 2023, the day of the verdict, juror number 785 received a call from her ex-husband that she did not answer. The call upset her because Miss Hill's lies had led her to believe he was posting on Facebook about her and might be stalking her. Juror number 785 asked to speak to Miss Hill. She told Miss Hill that she was scared. Miss Hill told her that the Murdaughs probably got to him. Nah, meaning her ex-husband. Yo, who is this? This chick is wilding out. What? Miss Hill once again asked her opinion regarding Mr. Murdaugh's guilt. Of course, this is all alleged. Okay, this is these are what's being alleged. Juror number 785 told her that Creighton Waters' closing was good, but that she still had questions. Ms. Hill asked what questions, and juror number 785 replied that she still was concerned that no murder weapon, that's been a big thing of contention. A lot of people have brought that up, was found. Ms. Hill then asked, well, what makes you think he's guilty? Juror number 785 said Paul's video at the dog kennels. That was a huge one for the trial. Ms. Hill then told juror number 785 that everything Mr. Murdaugh has said has been lies and that I should forget about the guns. They will never be seen again. How you know? Ms. Hill said, okay, Ms. Hill then asked juror number 785 about the views of the rest of the jury, telling her that if he, the foreperson, would just go in and ask for a raise in hands, this would be over and done with, and everyone needs to be on the same page. Wow. Juror number 785 went to the jury room and 10 minutes later was excused from the jury. In open court immediately after her excusal, juror number 785 asked Judge Newman if he had spoken with the clerk of court, referring to the conversation earlier this morning with Miss Hill. Video of trial proceeding March 2nd, 2023 available. Judge Newman responded, I have not spoken with her today, and this is totally independent of any conversation regarding her. Doesn't want to work. Interesting. Very interesting. That video doesn't even work. Okay. Well, maybe it's me. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, let's keep scrolling. The clerk of court's office says no comment at this time. Bottom line, Alex Murdaugh's defense is accusing clerk of court Rebecca Hill of jury tampering. They allege she pressured jurors to reach a guilty verdict so she could profit from it. It's a pretty big claim. They say this was why Murdaugh should get a new trial. Wow. Bro, check DMs. Okay. Mm-mm. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh, hell no!
We are very excited.
Dick sent this to me. Okay, so she's on Fitz News. This was a month ago, and this is a really good channel for information with this case. Like, they have all kinds of information on the Murdaugh. I mean, I guess they've been covering it since day one.
We've got a wonderful conversation today with somebody who was at the very center of the double homicide trial of Alex Murdaugh down in the Lowcountry of South Carolina back in March of this year. This trial made international headlines. Focus of
Oh, here she is.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Miss Becky Hill. Becky, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Now, I've got to ask you this, Madam Clerk. Can we dispense with the formalities? And can I call you Miss Becky?
Can we please do that? Thank you, Will.
I'd be shitting bricks if I was her. Now, like, with all this shit going on.
Thank you.
Excellent. Because during the 6 weeks of that trial, you were Miss Becky running that show. And again, just the integrity, the way you ran that trial from start to finish, you and your crew. I'm sure you're still getting plaudits, but it was just amazing.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, have things gotten back to normal in the borough since this trial?
I don't think we really know what normal is. They say it's just a setting on the dryer. I'm beginning to believe that's about true.
Well, how's everybody doing? I mean, your family's well, your beautiful daughter, Aubrey, everybody's doing well?
We are all doing well. My daughter is doing great. She's singing. She's gotten a lot of gigs, and she's got a little group together, and they sang at the Water Festival in Beaufort here recently and doing great. My husband, awesome. Tommy, is doing wonderful, trying to be retired, but I keep him busy. And my son and his wife and 2 children.
We'll look at the exhibits on the document. That looks kind of interesting.
We're doing great.
That's wonderful. And the town, we had such a wonderful experience in Walterboro. Not just you, your staff, the sheriffs, but all the businesses there, the food trucks.
SLED.
Everybody's so welcoming. What a great community.
Thank you. I'm glad that you had that experience, because that's what we wanted to provide.
Well, it was a difficult situation, but you guys absolutely did your jobs and put the best foot forward, as you said you would.
Worldwide stage. I think the seed was planted back before the trial. And did I really think that I would write a book? I think the thinking was there But then I happened to meet some people that kind of put feet to the dream, so to speak. And that was at the very end of the trial when I met these people. And it took us 4.5 months to write this book, which is a very, very, very fast.
Right towards the end of the trial, huh? Bruh. I'm sure they got that video. I'm sure I don't know if they referenced it in the affidavit. Maybe they did.
Way to write a book. Some people take 4.5 years, I've been told. But I worked.
I would take 4.5 decades. And maybe never get it done.
I have certainly enjoyed writing. And
by the way, her audio's out of sync.
Writing my first book. I've always loved reading, writing, and from the time that I was a child. So I would pretend when I was a child that I was a newscaster of all things. And I'd put the newspaper in front of me and pretend I was on Channel 5 with Charlie Hall. But you have to be from the Lowcountry to know about Charlie Hall. He was an icon.
Let me ask you this question. One of the things that struck me in reading your book was the insight you had into that jury. It was almost like you knew from the very beginning what they were thinking. And remember, a lot of folks don't know this, but Alex Murdaugh picked that jury himself, didn't he?
He did. Defendants sometimes get the chance to do that. Sometimes they exercise their right to do that. And Alex Murdaugh certainly did use his right to pick his own jury. My daughter almost was on the jury as well.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
What the hell? How? How now, brown cow? That shit don't sound right. What?
That would have been some insight.
That would have been a totally different story.
You wrote in your book, though, about sometimes juries come together, sometimes they don't. But you wrote that this jury was almost like a family. I mean, they were so close. Tell us a little bit about how those relationships developed and how they evolved over the course of the trial.
They bonded immediately from the time that they met back in the room, and they were all picked together on Tuesday of January. And they were prayerful. I believe I say this in my book. They were very perceptive, and they were just a pack. They stayed together. They treated each other like family. I could tell just from talking to the jurors about daily things, nothing about the trial at all.
It's a really, 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 really big accusations that's coming for this one. This is a huge freaking deal. And this video is pretty interesting and insightful. I mean, she's claiming they just had daily talks but nothing regarding the case. But like, I mean, let's just take a look at one of these real quick, because people are wondering, right? Like, okay, what do they have? This is one of the exhibits here. Let's start with this, and then we'll get back to the video. Okay, this is one of the affidavits for Juror 630. I was Juror 630 in the case of State of South Carolina versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, tried in the Colleton County, South Carolina. Toward the end of the trial after the President's Day break, but before Mr. Murdaugh testified, the clerk of court, Rebecca Hill, told the jury not to be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys, which I understood to mean that Mr. Murdaugh would lie when he testified. She also instructed the jury to watch him closely immediately before he testified, including look at his actions and look at his movements, which I understood to mean he was guilty. Immediately after he testified, the foreperson, blank, Juror 826, said Mr. Murdaugh was crying on cue. The foreperson, Juror 826, criticized the former foreperson, Juror 589, for handing Mr. Murdaugh a box of tissues when he was crying on the stand while testifying about his murdered son. She told the jury we cannot interact with Mr. Murdaugh because that is what the defense wants us to do. The jury frequently discussed the case during the breaks before deliberations. I mean, that's, you know, this is a juror's account, but that's a big accusation again. That's huge to the end of the trial, because they're not supposed to have really conversations at all till deliberation. Toward the end of the trial, Ms. Hill came into the jury room a lot. Ms. Hill and the foreperson, Juror 826, had private conversations on multiple times. So the foreperson, that's the, correct me if I'm mistaken, that's like the lead juror. I don't know if I think it depends. Like I've seen sometimes the judge will decide, and then sometimes they just let the jurors amongst themselves be like, okay, this is going to be the person that's kind of like in lead, kind of like in charge, somewhat, and kind of like they're the person that's going to tell the judge the verdict. I think I forgot how that shit goes. Let me look it up here. 4-person juror. Yeah, the 4-person acts as the chair. It's the 4-person's duty to see that discussion is carried in a sensible and orderly fashion, to see that the issues submitted for the jury's decision are fully and fairly discussed, and to guarantee that every juror has a chance to say what he or she thinks upon every question. Okay, so this 4-person that's like the lead, kind of in charge or having some type of oversight, allegedly is having private conversations with this clerk of court. All right. The 4-person juror 826 would tell the bailiff that she needed to speak with Miss Hill. Miss Hill would arrive, and then she and the 4-person juror 826 would go to another. That is so weird, bro. Go to another room to have a private conversation. The conversations typically lasted 5 to 10 minutes. The 4-person juror 826 never said anything about the content of the conversation. For example, she never communicated logistically information after those conversations. This happened 2 or more times, more frequently toward the end of the trial. When we began deliberations, Ms. Hill told us that this shouldn't take us long, and if we deliberated past 11 p.m., we would be taken directly to a hotel. We had driven from our homes that morning, and we were not prepared to stay overnight. Additionally, smokers on the jury asked to be allowed to take smoke breaks, but we were told they could not smoke until deliberations were complete. So, according to this person, they're putting pressure. They're like, hey, we're going to take your ass to a hotel. You're not even going to get to go home. They're not even prepared, and you can't smoke. I had questions about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt, but voted guilty because I felt pressured. Oh no, by other jurors. After the verdict and immediately before sentencing, Ms. Hill pressured the jury to speak as a group to reporters from the television show. And this is like sworn notary public South Carolina. This is like signed, and like this is the juror. Ding. Okay, that's juror 630. All right, we'll get to the next juror. Let's see. Affidavit of Holly Miller. Okay. I don't know if that was supposed to be redacted or not. No. Did they screw up there? I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Was that supposed to be redacted? I don't know. All right, let me play a little bit more of this video.
But I've been around a jury for a long time, different juries for a long time, and you get to know the layout of a jury, and just you can get a feel from how juries are going to be.
No.
And I learned that this jury, they were tight. They started every morning out with prayer. They were very watchful. They were very perceptive in the things that they were listening to, the things they were watching during the trial, especially when we went to Moselle at the very end of the trial. That was very telling. And just by observation, I knew that the verdict was already pretty sealed when we went to Moselle. There wasn't going to take much, and I knew it wasn't going to take long for them to come to a decision about a verdict.
Well, let me ask you about that field.
Bro, it sounds like just weird. As we're reading the exhibits, but then also hearing her talk about it, like, I know it shouldn't have taken long. Okay. I mean, I guess she's saying based off of their experience or her experience with them, but I think a lot of us expected that it was going to take a while. Even lawyers that do this stuff professionally, that do this stuff on YouTube, you know, that they were commenting on it, thought it was going to be like a, what do they call that? They thought it was going to be a hung jury or something. You know, like a lot. I don't think any of us expected that shit to come back so quick.
Trip. That's one of the most baffling parts of this trial. It was requested by the defense attorneys. They felt that it would show logistically that Alex Murdaugh couldn't have committed the crimes of which he was convicted. But you said in the book that that was what sealed his fate, that it actually worked against Murdaugh. Tell us about that,
It
Becky.
did. The defense attorneys thought that it was going to be used in their favor. That's why I think they requested it, and Judge Newman granted it. So when we were out there on the property and walking side by side, there was hardly any conversation, no talking at all. And everyone was doing their own measurements in their own way. They were walking things out, I think, going over in their mind what they had heard throughout the trial and putting it all together. It was very heavy out there that day, seeing all the jurors contemplating and in thought of what they were looking at and seeing with their own eyes. I don't think that the defense attorneys thought it would go that way.
The Murdaughs crime scene, I mean, they fired. You said that Alex Murdaugh's fate was sealed. What was it that you saw in their faces that led you to that conclusion?
They were extremely serious. They knew that the decisions they were making was going to be life-changing for this person named Alex Murdaugh. They were serious about what they were doing because they knew that the verdict was going to be a heavy one to hand out. I feel like, but in their faces, it was almost as if they knew that they were going to have to come down with a verdict of guilty, because to them, the evidence was there.
It was,
Bro,
obviously.
I don't know why it just doesn't sound good, bro. I don't know. I mean, she's going to have her day. I guess it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's just kind of like, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I guess she's speaking off of her interactions with them, I don't know, or just looking at them. So let's take a look at this one. So this is another one, right? On August 6, 2023, Dick and Jim, which are Murdaugh's attorneys, and I met with this juror 741 in the case of state of South Carolina and Richard Murdaugh at her home located at blank. At the meeting on August 6th, indicated she would sign an affidavit. However, we were unable to arrange with her a suitable time and place. During the meeting, blank relayed the following information to us. During the trial, she witnessed the clerk of court, Becky Hill, come to the jury room, and Miss Hill and a foreperson, 826, the leader of the jury, went to the bathroom. I just can't even imagine this type of behavior going on in court. Bro, that shit blows my mind, because I just think about, first of all, I think everybody should do jury duty at least once in your life to get the experience. Because I did a month-long case. That was an experience. It was a long time ago when I think around the time I first came to Florida, but it's a hell of an experience. So I couldn't imagine as a juror, I would be kind of looking like seeing these people duck, if this is true, ducking off into the bathroom and kind of like what? Down the rabbit hole news. Thank you for the 12 months. Amazing. Congrats on passing 30K. Hit the like button. Mel, love. Thank you. Appreciate that. Make sure you guys check out our channel. Thank you for picking up a little bit last night, because I had to get off. I know you had to get off too. Okay, so they go to the bathroom. After Miss Hill and the foreperson exited the bathroom, Miss Hill told the jurors they could not ask the foreperson questions. What? Several times during the trial, Ms. Hill told the jurors that the media would want to interview jurors at the end of the trial, and during one of these conversations, she passed out business cards from the media to the jurors. At the end of the trial, Ms. Hill told blank that no one from the media wanted to interview her. Right before the defense put up their case, Ms. Hill told the jurors, "Y'all are going to hear things that will throw you all off. Excuse me. Don't let this distract you or mislead you." After Alex testified, 8 jurors indicated they did not believe his testimony. Blank recalled juror 544 known as Boston by many of the jurors, was very emotional during the trial. Damn, okay. During a visit to Moselle, juror 826 and Blank walked to the scene together. Then juror 826 began walking with the clerk of court, Becky Hill. There were times the jurors were not kept together, but were in separate rooms. Blank noticed jurors talking about the case before deliberations began. Neither she nor Blank, juror 785, joined in on the conversations about Alex. As the jury was deliberating, she believes Judge Newman came to the room she was in and told the jury would have to spend the night at a hotel if they didn't have a vote by a certain time, but she does not recall the time deadline. So this was a thing then? She believes Judge Newman came into the room. That contradicts what the other juror said, doesn't it? I don't know. The other juror said that the court of clerk came and said that. I don't know. Both could be true, but I don't know. You would think that'd be something that'd be mentioned. Okay, so the judge, she believes, and I don't know why believes, because that would be something significant in my memory that I remember the judge walking in to the room that you guys are deliberating in, but I don't know. Okay. Juror 741 was the first former juror to provide information that the clerk of court made statements to members of the jury about the evidence presented during the trial. Prior to jury deliberations, Ms. Hill's conduct was corroborated by other jurors during subsequent interviews. I don't know why they did this shit. These people did a horrible job with this as far as redacting. It's fucking crazy. I don't know. Let's see what this is. Okay. Exhibit C is a draft transcript of records excerpt in camera conference, March 1st, 2023. Okay. Maybe we'll read this too. All right, let's watch a little bit more, Becky.
A circumstantial case, but an overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence pointing to the guilt of Alex Murdaugh. Becky, let's talk about the verdict in that moment. I remember.
She said she just had her first juror experience. How long was it? 1 day, 2 days, or a week, a month?
I remember being in the courtroom that night, seeing you walk by with a look on your face like it was about to happen. But you knew, you were one of the few people. We kept hearing from all these national observers that it would be weeks, that it would take forever for this jury to reach a verdict, and that they may not, in fact, reach a verdict. But you, from the beginning, had a sense of what was really going to happen. Were you surprised at how fast it was?
I was not surprised. It's called that sense, or a woman's gut. It's called that sixth sense that you may have. I was very in tune with, from watching the jury, that's something that TV watchers did not have the ability to see. But those of us that were in the courtroom, we could watch the jury, we could watch their body language, we could see their faces and what expressions they had. And from hearing the different witnesses that were on the stand, we could tell that, how in tune they were with each witness. And I just felt like,
right, a sense.
even though it was a lot of circumstantial evidence, they were able to put it all together and come up with the verdict that they got, and they got it right.
Well, let me ask you about that moment. Probably one of the most watched, most anticipated, probably for you, very stressful moments. But the moment when you read that verdict, I remember being in the courtroom, I was thinking to myself, how is she doing this? I mean, you'd been working yourself and your staff, no sleep for weeks. And here you are at this just incredibly important moment, the apex of this case, reading out the verdict. Becky, what was that moment like for you?
It was epic. I have worked with Alex Murdaugh and some of the other Murdaugh men in the courtroom before, and I knew them on the other side of justice. I had been with them when we were all together on the side of right. And now here I was having to get the verdict.
Yo, I like that. Creole, sketchy What am I saying? Sketchy Becky.
of a lifetime, and to read it out for Alec. It was heartbreaking. It was something that I never thought I'd have to say out loud. It was very heavy.
A lot of heaviness in this case. And one of the other things I noted in your book, Becky, the way that you talked about the Murdaugh family and the really the compassion that comes through those pages for some of the members of his family who were there in the courtroom every day, and you could really feel, that relationship that you've had with them over the years and how hard that must have been. Becky, what do you think in the aftermath of this case? There was so much at stake here, really, for justice in South Carolina, for the victims in this case. But as you look at the outcome of this, the advocate for
It was done, and I believe that the jury showed that it's not all about who you are, and it's the crime. If you commit the crime, you're going to be found out, and that justice will be served. I thought it was very, very telling that doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It sounds to me like the days of old are gone, as far as things that happen. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and it was time to pay.
I don't know. That is pretty interesting. That's Fitz News. They have really, really good content on the Murdaugh stuff. Murdaugh judges investigated? What? So. Yeah, he has really good content. All right, well, maybe let me see how much more we'll read of this stuff. Oh, sorry. We'll see how much more we read of this stuff. This is court transcript. It says to withhold any opinions, and then they say can't talk to you anymore and walks off. They're off the jury, ? The court, okay, let me see what Becky is talking about. I wanted to revisit the Facebook post that you mentioned yesterday, Miss Hill. Right. The court, that's Becky Hill, the court of clerk. Can you tell us about that Facebook post? It'd actually probably be easier if I just pulled up the video, but Miss Hill, yes, I think it was Friday evening. Just for a brief moment, I pursued Facebook, got on Walterboro word of mouth, and saw where someone had said that, well, it was the ex-husband of a juror, and he said that he noticed that his ex-wife was saying that she was on the jury and saying stuff about how her verdict was going to be, and that he was the ex-husband, but she was known for talking way too much. No. And then I just kept on scrolling because that was enough for me. I've gotten enough. So, I mean, she didn't take a screenshot, or if it was in a group or whatever? The court, and how did you determine who he was talking about? Miss Hill, when I heard there was an email on Monday, I figured the two went together, if it was true. The court, well, she's confirmed that she has an ex-husband who she has 3 restraining orders out against. So Ms. Hill says, right, so then we looked on Monday after you told me to try to go back and go look for it. I mean, why wouldn't you? I just don't understand. Like, if this is like your job and you find some shit, you see it online, you plan to go report it to the court, you wouldn't think to take a screenshot or something? Like, what? And I just think that stuff too maybe would have been archived by somebody. Somebody would have taken a screenshot. I don't know. Has anybody ever seen that? What she's talking about? So then we went on Monday after you told me to try to go back and look for it, and we couldn't find it. But then we found out his name, and we found the post and printed it out, okay, where he said that he had put something up, but that he had deleted it at the time, that he had put stuff out there that wasn't nice. Okay, so they had the post of where he said he deleted something. They don't have the actual post, I guess. The court, he said he got drunk afterwards. Mr. Meadows, something about the devil. Mr. Harpootlian, didn't he say it was Satan in it? Miss Hill, Satan was in it, yes, and all of the details, yes. The court, all right, Miss Hill made me do it. The court, okay, I just wanted to have that on the record. You're reading a Facebook post by the ex-husband who said it. Of course, you haven't talked with him, so you don't know where he got his information from. Miss Hill, I can find it though. Miss Fernandez, we do know his name for what it's worth. The court, do you think he will be sober? Oh shit. Miss Hill, I don't know. Probably, if I had to guess. Mr. Harpootlian, it is Wednesday. Well, is today Tuesday or Wednesday? Reply back Wednesday. Well, it's Wednesday night, so he's... Oh, it just ended there. Okay, so this is the book. We just saw this on Amazon. Let's see here. Hold on. Okay. So this is the book here, Rebecca, Doors of Justice. Oh. I don't know if we should read this. The Today Show and Dayline. Sunday night after Alex was sentenced, I accompanied... So she wrote this shit herself in the book. Sunday night after Alex was sentenced, I accompanied 3 jurors from the trial to New York City. As I mentioned earlier, Craig Melvin and Savannah Guthrie, the Today Show interviewed the 3 jurors during... Oh, so that's the thing we just saw. During a 7-minute high-energy segment. While we were all in the Today Show green room, we met and took photos with the country music star Dustin Lynch. Oh, so they're getting seeing the stars. Who was also getting ready to appear on the program to sing one of his hit songs. Once the taping of the Today Show concluded, we were whisked away from the 850-foot skyscraper building by a driver in a black Chevy Tahoe to a different studio near 30 Rock, where Dayline taped some of its segments. What stuck out to me was that one of the jurors mentioned to a producer that she had a craving for pizza and cheesecake, and the next thing we knew, both were delivered in time for lunch. Then that's how they do it up there, huh? The execs, the corporations, they just like snap their finger. Boom. Yes, sir. The trip was extra special for me. I mean, that's good hosting for your guests, you know. The trip was extra special for me because it was my first time ever flying in an airplane. Ooh, so this is a special experience. You're flying out with the jurors. You're going to New York. You're not on TV, but you're in the green room. You're meeting celebrity country singers. Wow, mamma mia. The trip was extra special for me because it was the first time flying. We flew from Charleston to New York City and could order whatever we wanted. I chose pretzels and a Coke to relieve some of my anxiety. Then a black Chevy Tahoe car service was sent to pick us up from LaGuardia Airport, and we got to ride through one of those dark underwater tunnels that let us out in the city that never sleeps. Embassy put us in the hands of the fabulous Haley Barber, Dayline producer, who put all of us up at a nice Manhattan hotel. Ooh. Fed us at the restaurant on the Avenue of Americas, a block away from 30 Rock in Midtown Manhattan. On the eve of the interviews afterwards, the jurors told me they felt like we were heard and loved their 15 minutes of fame in the Big Apple. Wow. Her tell-all book. Let's see. Okay. Oh, they said some more stuff in her book. So, I mean, over here they talk about working with jurors is always a unique experience. And with like any jury, we had some behind-the-scenes happenings with our jurors, the alternates and the originals for the Murdaugh trial. While most of the jurors were focused and engaged during the Murdaugh trial, we did have one juror who was an alternate at one point who was not. She was more focused on the crowd who was watching, who was or wasn't following Judge Newman's rules, and so on. For example, she caught a new visitor to the courtroom who was sitting directly across from her, who looked like she may have been taking a picture of the jury, and that wasn't going to fly with her. Another juror couldn't or wouldn't sit still during the trial. It seemed like every time she shifted her chair, it made a loud squeak. Occasionally, attorneys would wait for the rhythm of the squawks to subside before continuing their cross-examination. Oh, the egg lady. Then there was the egg lady juror. The juror worked on a monkey farm in the Lowcountry. A monkey farm? She drove Judge Newman bananas one weekend, pun intended, through the Facebook page Walter Burrow, word of mouth. About 20,000 followers say they saw this juror's ex-husband post. Oh, they did let her go, right? Did they? About how she was talking way too much to friends and family about the case. Many people became aware of the situation after court on Friday, February 24th, and it was brought to the attention of Judge Newman. I typically didn't have the time or energy to watch any media. You're watching everything. You're watching all the media, the Facebook groups. You're all over the place. But on Friday night, I scrolled through the Walter Burrow word of mouth social media feed and saw the post from the ex-husband, but he didn't mention the juror's name or the juror number. At the time, I didn't think anything of it and kept scrolling, mainly because I had been inundated with emails and messages from people all over the world about what they had heard and what they had seen, how the prosecution and defense should run their cases, how Judge Newman should rule, what to address with anyone and everyone involved in the courthouse. Okay. I felt like a principal dealing with tattletales and problems and issues every day. It was tiring. When Monday morning came, Judge Newman asked me to find the social media post. One of our techies in the clerk's office, Lori Weiss, looked and couldn't find it at first. Luckily, though, she kept looking and she saw where the post was taken down and replaced with an apology from the juror's ex-husband. He said Satan had gotten a hold of him and he had been drinking at the time he posted and was very sorry. After Judge Newman interviewed the juror and corroborating witnesses about the situation, he removed the juror from the jury before the court started that morning, Monday morning. And I thought that's the juror that had been making, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, been making gestures that she clearly wasn't in favor of Alec. We later learned that the ex-spouses hadn't seen each other in 14 years, and the former juror had 3 restraining orders against her ex-husband. So why would she even be talking to him? You know, when a juror is removed from a jury, it's normal practice for the judge to ask if there are any personal items they'd like to retrieve from the private jury room. When Judge Newman graciously presented the question to the former juror, she said she just wanted to get her eggs, which caused some laughter in the courtroom. And nationally, once the media got a hold of the story, Judge Newman even broke out in one of the largest grins I've ever seen. One of the other jurors raised chickens on their farm and had brought in a dozen eggs to whomever wanted them. At this time, eggs were selling for about $8 a dozen, which was very high. So it's understandable why the removed juror wanted her eggs. It's actually, well, it depends. I got the 18, but I pay quite a bit for eggs. Let me see here. One of our local singers/songwriters. It just cuts off. Okay, they just cut it off different pages. Let's see. Let me just skip around a bit. Okay, the Facebook post. All right, here we go. Folks, I posted an ugly post yesterday to which I have deleted, and in a kind of roundabout way directed it towards a certain person and I would like to apologize to everyone who read it that ugly that ugly for me to do that. And yes, I let Satan control me, and I broke down and started drinking, and when I was drunk I made that post. I'm sorry. Somebody replied, I guess, back, when life gets hard, you're supposed to call on God, but when you're down, the devil finds a way to get in, and when you let him in, he will take control. Pray for you, Tim, because you have a beautiful granddaughter that loves you, and so many more of the grandbabies that love you and will get you through this. Just like God help you. Love you, man. Praying for you. Why apologize for something you really meant? You meant what you said. Apologies don't mean anything if you constantly do it. Because I'm a human, or I'm human, I make mistakes. I didn't mean to. Okay, that's it. That's all they got. Let me see. It is great that you apologize. It is great that you apologize. You owe that to that person it was directed to, and God. None of us can or should judge. I can, however, give you some suggestions. I remember when you posted about something, Christ as your savior, which I praised God. All right, does it say anything about the case? Okay, hold on. And remember to stay off social media when you aren't at your best. Prayers going up and out for you and your wife. Not preaching, just sound advice from someone who came through a life of misery to doing all I can live for Christ. Hang in and hold on. Okay. Well, this is like somebody else, though. We're no longer together. I can't serve God and the devil both, so I had to let him go. You can go on. I'm not sure why they included all this shit. You can go online and type love, dare, devotion. But since I see y'all are not together, I would still recommend it. I have found out that a lot of things in it helps me personally, and not just my marriage prayers. May God's will be done. So, I mean, I don't know what he posted. Maybe it was something in reference to his ex-wife, I guess. Even though it says they've been separated for like 14 years, there's 3 domestic restraining orders against him. All right. Tim Stone. Oh, so they spoke to this guy. Oh, hell no. Hell to the now. Say it ain't so, motherfucker. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Okay. I'm the ex-husband of this juror. I did not post anything to Facebook group Walterboro Word of Mouth between January 23rd, 2023 and March 2nd, 2023. I guess they were showing that to show this. I get it. Okay. That there's nothing really, I guess. I did not post anything on the social media page or my own Facebook social media page about blank being a juror. That blank was talking way too much to friends and family about the case, or that Satan had gotten a hold of me and I had been drinking at the time. I posted and was now very sorry. Nor did I post what is attached in Exhibit A. What? Which has been represented to be me. An alleged post to the Walterboro Word of Mouth Facebook page and a court exhibit in the state of South Carolina versus Murdaugh. So, what the hell is going on? So he's saying it's a fake Facebook account or somebody impersonating him. Oh, and he gives the link. I do not have a page set up as Timothy Stone. My profile name is Tim Stone. I was never contacted by law enforcement, the South Carolina Attorney General's office, the Clerk of Court, Becky Hill, or anyone at the Colleton County Clerk of Courts office about Exhibit A or a post on the Walterboro Word of Mouth Facebook page concerning my ex-wife. I did not know blank was on the Murdaugh trial. He didn't even know. On the Murdaugh jury until I heard her voice on a recording when she was being excused as a juror. And she was discussing something about eggs. Oh, okay. I see. So they did a good move by actually bringing this guy in for an affidavit. Oh, I'm glad I read that. This is interesting. I wonder if they can track this down. So he said his Facebook page is actually Tim Stone, right? I do not have a page set up as Timothy Stone. My profile name is Tim Stone. So who the hell is this? This is repetitive. All right, we're not going to read all the Bible verses and shit. Replies. Affidavit of P. Barber. Who's that? Okay. Personally appeared before me, Tim Stone, who is being firstly duly sworn, deposes and states as follows. I'm an attorney. I'm an attorney in the firm of Richard A. Harpootlian and counsel of record for the defendant Murdaugh. On August 18, I met with Tim Stone at his home. He provided his Facebook login information. Oh, that's what they were just saying at the press conference. Okay. So they met this guy in person too. Downloaded all the shit from January 23rd to March 2nd, 2023. A true copy of this download is attached to the as Exhibit A. The contents of the download speak for themselves, but review of them shows no post was made on February 16, 2023, apologizing for... Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because you can go into your Facebook. It's been a very, very long time since I've even tried it, but you can go on there. Like, there's some sort of settings where you can like literally get everything, like, or you can select the date and just like print out all the shit. So even the post that's up or active in that group, when you go to check when you log into his account, it's not on there according to them. Bro. Facebook's stated retention policy of deleted posts is 30 days. So any deleted posts in the time period from the 23rd to March 2nd would not be recoverable. So I understand that not being recoverable, but the post that is active under that other account, the fact that it doesn't show on this account, that's pretty telling. Okay. Juror 785. They're just pulling out all the shit. Okay. I was juror 785 on the state of South Carolina versus Murdaugh, tried in Carleton County, South Carolina. During the presentation of the defense case after President's Day, but before Mr. Murdaugh testified in his own defense, Carleton County Clerk of Court Rebecca Hill told the jurors not to be fooled by the evidence presented to the jury by Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys, which we've heard already. In late February 2023, Ms. Hill questioned me about a Facebook post on the Walterboro Word of Mouth page. Oh, is this the lady? Is this the egg lady that got kicked out? Hell, this shit is hot. Okay. She summoned me to speak with her alone in an office in the courthouse. She told me someone emailed her about a post. Yo, they fucking did good with this affidavit. The redaction shit could have been better, but they did good to freaking pull this lady in. She told me someone emailed her about a post my ex-husband, Tim Stone, purportedly made, which purportedly stated that I made comments to him about the guilt or innocence of Mr. Murdaugh. She directly asked me whether I was inclined to vote guilty or not guilty. And I'm telling you, I don't know if you guys remember, we were watching this thing. Like I said earlier, she was very facially expressive. Was she an alternate or something? I just heard her expressions were very, so maybe this person, the court clerk, potentially saw her as a threat or something. I don't know, if these allegations are true. I told her I had not made up my mind and I wanted to hear all evidence before deciding. Ms. Hill said the post said I had been drinking with my ex-husband and that while drunk with him. And so I'm thinking, if this is true, this lady didn't even know that they had been separated for like 14 years, which, I mean, she wrote it in her book though, but maybe during the moment, not after the fact, but during the moment. And then she had 3 restraining orders on this guy. She said that I've been drinking with my ex-husband and that while drunk with him, I expressed opinions on the guilt or innocence of Mr. Murdaugh. That never happened. And I told Ms. Hill it never happened. I didn't go drinking with my ex-husband. In fact, I had not seen him in approximately 10 years. Okay, 10 years. Damn. I asked to see the post, but of course she didn't have it. Ms. Hill would not or could not show it to me. I have never seen it, and to my knowledge, no one has it. Later that day, Ms. Hill told me, sled, and Colleton County Sheriff's Office personnel went to my ex-husband's house. Damn, Sled, what you doing? And he purportedly confirmed he made the post. Oh, she's claiming Ms. Hill came up with all this shit. She told me that she would reinstate a restraining order I had previously against my ex-husband. I did not know about the apology post referencing Satan until Ms. Hill's book was published. I have since reviewed that post and can definitely state the post is not by my ex-husband. He does not go by Timothy. The profile picture is not him. And the phrasing of the post is not phrasing he would use. It appears to be a post by another person who happens to have the same name. Oh. It does not appear to be a post to the Walterboro word of mouth. Wait, okay, sorry. Oh, no, I actually read that right. It does not appear to be a post to the Walterboro word of mouth Facebook page. When Ms. Hill first asked about the Facebook posting purportedly made by my ex-husband, I showed her a picture of my ex-husband. For that reason, I now believe she always knew the apology post referencing Satan was not posted by my ex-husband. So this type of shit is really important, because when somebody has knowledge that it's wrong and you're still going with it, I showed you a picture, you know? March 2nd, 2023, the day of the verdict, I received a call from my ex-husband, Tim Stone, as I was getting on the bus to travel with the rest of the jurors to the courthouse. I did not answer. This phone call upset me greatly, and I asked to speak with the clerk of court, which I did by telephone using the bailiff, Mr. Bill's phone. I told her I was scared. She said that the Murdaughs probably got to him. Ms. Hill then asked me questions about my opinion regarding Mr. Murdaugh's guilt. That is so freaking weird. And you just to think about how despicable this potentially is. 3 restraining orders on the guy. I don't know what their situation was, but it wasn't good. Maybe it was violent, toxic, whatever. Now you have this guy calling her because of all this shit going on, you know? Dude. And I just kind of like have a hard time too with like, okay, are this many people just concocting shit? Is there some truth here? You know, like this is kind of, they did at least their due diligence to try to pull in as many people as they can. Maybe this will encourage other people to come forward and speak. I don't know. I mean, the Facebook thing did happen during a trial. Like, I remember that shit coming up. So they literally got the ex-husband to do an affidavit. They got the lady to do an affidavit, a statement, a sworn statement, I guess. So she starts asking her about opinions again about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt. She asked if I was leaning one way or the other. I told her that Creighton Waters was closing was good, but I still had questions. She asked me what kind of questions, and I replied questions about the guns. She asked what would make me think he is innocent. I said that no murder weapon was found. She then asked, well, what makes you think he's guilty? I said Paul's video at the dog kennels. She then stated that everything Mr. Murdaugh has said has been lies and that I should forget about the guns. They will never be seen again. Ms. Hill then asked about the views of the rest of the jury. She told me if the 4-person would just go in and ask for a raise in hands, this would be over and done with. She said everyone needs to be on the same page. She then again said she would reinstate a restraining order I previously had against my ex-husband and that she would call Judge Newman about the restraining order. I went to the jury room. Approximately 10 minutes later, I was excused from the jury. During the proceedings, I asked Judge Newman if he had spoken with the clerk of court. He only said that this is not because of your ex-husband. During the proceedings, I asked Judge Newman if he had spoken with the clerk of court. He only said that this is not because of your ex-husband. Which I think clearly it was. 2 weeks later, I did answer a call from my ex-husband. I angrily confronted him about the post he purportedly made because I knew that I had not made the comments he claimed I made. He empathetically denied ever making any such Facebook. But look at all this drama that's going on between these people because of this shit that's being said. That doesn't seem like it's true. I mean, there's nothing to prove really that it's true that he made this Facebook post. Besides some other guy, which even the other account, we don't see the original Facebook post. Even the other account still doesn't say shit to me. You know? Any such Facebook posts and generally seemed not to know what I was talking about. On one day, and honestly, you know what I'm thinking, man? I think they might have a case for this shit, for the motion. Who knows if they get more jurors? I think they might actually have a case here. On one day during my jury service, he denied empathetically ever making any such Facebook posts and genuinely seemed not to know what I was talking about. On one day during my jury service, approximately 1 or 2 weeks before the verdict, Juror 864 and Juror 826 were in the single toilet unisex bathroom together for an extended period of time. Like, what the heck? Jurors gone wild. What in the world is going on? They were known to do so frequently to discuss the case. Juror 729 referred to it as A&D time. In the van going to the courthouse, Juror 864 said Special Agent David Owen lied on the stand, but that nothing would happen to him. And that's the whole thing they were talking about, the perjury thing, I think. That is what they were talking about in the press conference. When we visited the Moselle crime scene, Miss Hill and Blank, Juror 826, walked off together, avoiding other jurors in order to have private conversation. So there's no oversight of the court clerk? I own a rental property which is leased to two tenants, Deborah and Clifford. On Saturday, February 18, 2023, I delivered a refrigerator to the property. I was removed from the jury on the day of the verdict because a co-worker of Miss Webb purportedly said I expressed an opinion on Mr. Murdaugh's guilt or innocence while delivering the refrigerator. Miss Webb then worked at Domino's Pizza in Walterboro, so the co-worker would be some employees of Domino's Pizza in Walterboro. I do not know whether Miss Webb actually made any such statement at Domino's Pizza or whether a coworker actually heard any such statement. After I was dismissed from the jury, I spoke with Miss Webb and Danbridge, who both vehemently stated to me that that the affidavits the prosecution drafted for their signature was not what they said to him. They told me Sled showed up at their home at 10 p.m. after they were asleep, removed them from their home, put them in separate cars, and questioned them. Mr. Danbridge said he told them I did not say anything about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt or innocence. Sled returned 30 minutes later, again woke them up from their beds to serve subpoenas on them to appear in court the next day. They arrived at the courthouse at 9 a.m. the next day and were held for 9 hours. Sled. Until 6 p.m. when Sled officers or the prosecutor finally presented typed affidavits to them saying they were their statements from the previous night that had been recorded by dash cams and patrol cars. They said they signed the affidavits without reading them. Oh, hell no. As I previously testified, I never discussed the merits of the Murdaugh case with Miss Webb, Mr. Danbridge, or any other person present, nor did I express my opinion Mr. Murdaugh's guilt or innocence while delivering the refrigerator or during any other interaction within them during the trial. This is really, really, really weird, man. I don't know what kind of sketch shit is going on over there. Creole Lady, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that. She says you're really getting into this rabbit hole. Yeah, it's almost done. BB, thank you for the 10 months. Cousin Eddie set this up. I wonder how Cousin Eddie's doing. Cousin Eddie. Live life full 24/7. Thank you for the membership. Appreciate that. Callie, Sandy, thank you so much. Says love email. Check PO box for Sweet Peas back to school. Okay, amazing. I will. I definitely will. Laura H, thank you for the membership. Rebecca, thank you for the 9 months. Oh, I got that already too. Okay. Okay, transcripts. I think I'm going to skip the transcripts. Let's see. Attorney is. So this is, have you put anything on Facebook? The court, juror says, not regarding the case. I put a positive post on. I gave Miss Becky my full access. I gave Miss Becky full access to my Facebook. I put positive posts on it. I've done that for the past 3 years. But the court says, has anyone posted anything on Facebook about you? And juror says, I wasn't aware until Miss Becky told me today. The court said, what did she tell me? Juror says, she told me she asked if I had an ex-husband. I said, yeah. She asked if I talked to him about the case or being on jury duty. I said no. I questioned her why she was asking me that. I haven't seen him since 2014. Doesn't live in the area. He does now. He lives in Cottageville. Court says okay. And I have 3 restraining orders against him. The court says so he's basically up to no good. She says I wouldn't say that. I'd say a lot worse, but that's a nice way to put it. The court says okay. But she told me that I was very upset after she told me that. I have, like I said, I have 3 restraining orders against him. I wouldn't have anything to do with him. Yeah, that's a messed up shit to put on somebody after you've been through all that shit with somebody, you know? I wouldn't have anything to do with him if I didn't have a child with him, but I haven't seen him since 2014 when we got a divorce. I've talked with him within the last year because I got a call at work that my son was in jail and needed a ride home. And I did call his father and asked him to go get him, which he did not do. Oh, wow. But other than that, I have not seen him, talk to him, or anything else since 2014 other than getting restraining orders in Colleton County, one in Orangeburg County, and one in Berkeley County. The court says, wow. Juror says, Miss Becky said she went to look for the post again and that it had been deleted. And I don't know who she talked to or anything else, but she said apparently. When did she tell you that? Juror said, it was after you let us go on that last break. I was very upset, and she came down and talked to me and said that apparently I don't know who talked to him, but said that he was drunk and removed the post. Okay. Any of the jurors, has the clerk discussed any about the case with anyone on the jury? Juror said, not that I'm aware of. Okay. She pulled me aside and we went downstairs after the last break. I want to say it was after lunch. We came back. That's when she first told me about it, and we went back into the court. I was kind of screening the audience to make sure my ex wasn't out there. Damn, this lady's like probably paranoid, kind of worried and shit, thinking this guy's there. And she came downstairs after that break and told me that she had found out that he was drunk and made a post. This is just fucking crazy. This is crazy, dude. And I work at the monkey farm. Monkey farm, what do you do there? I work in the lab for the lab. All I do is watch monkeys. Amazing. It's a testing facility where they try and come up with cures for like AIDS, cancer, leukemia. Oh Lord, oh Lord. Juror says, okay, court says you're happy to be here away from the monkeys for a while. She said, yeah, I miss my monkeys. The court says, are they pretty smart, as everyone says? She says they're very intelligent and they hurt and bleed and have feelings just like you do or I do, they do. At this point in time, have you made up your mind about guilt or innocence? I haven't. I was trying to wait on closing arguments because those are usually pretty good. And then it's kind of fucked up too. Like, she's putting in her time, spending her time away from work and, scaring her and all this kind of shit just to be kicked out. Have you been on jury duty before? I was, but it was kind of really sucked because they called us back and we were, anticipating it was my first jury and they made up an agreement and we never got to sit on the jury. Okay, any questions either for anyone to ask? No, Your Honor. No, sir. Okay, that's it. All right, just move on. Hold on. So the juror said, they're going to bring me to my car. The court says they didn't leave you, did they? She said, yes. Oh, the court says, oh, they did? Law clerk, no, I'll go get her to a bailiff and they'll go get her. I'll go down there to the bailiff. The juror left. Law clerk, make sure they get her home. Juror says, y'all have a good night. Court says goodbye. Griffin says bye. 785. Juror exits the courtroom. The court says, well, Mr. Waters says, I got a name now. The Court, a name Clifford Dambridge, B Street. Oh boy, I'm not too pleased about the clerk interrogating a juror as opposed to coming to me and bringing it to me. Yeah, I was surprised to hear that too. It don't look good for her. Okay, juror 326. We got more jurors. Did we read this already? Okay. During a meeting, juror 326 relayed the following information to us. Juror 326 was asked if Ms. Hill told the jurors not to let the defense mislead them. He did not specifically recall this statement, but he did recall that Ms. Hill commented. So, okay, I don't know. That Ms. Hill commented to him and other jurors about the photos that would be admitted into evidence, indicating that the images would be disturbing. Juror 326 also stated that the jurors were stationed in two separate rooms when they were not in the courtroom, and that he was in a room with mostly other male jurors. He was not in the same room as jurors 630, 741, 785. Juror 326 stated that Miss Hill would visit the other room more often, and that he could not hear what she was telling the jurors in the other room. That's kind of weird. I don't know. During the trial, juror 326 and others discussed the case prior to deliberations. He did not discuss the case with anyone outside of the jurors. He further commented that some of the jurors were going into their office because of the financial reasons, and that people were talking to coworkers because coworkers wanted info. Before deliberations began, that's interesting too. Before deliberations began, juror 326 indicated that minor conversation led him to know who was a yes and who was a no. His vote changed with new evidence. As the jury was deliberating, the bailiff and Ms. Hill told the jurors that they could not take a smoke break during deliberations. There were 6 smokers on the jury. After the trial concluded, a group of chat was formed with the jurors, but juror 326 dropped off the group chat because there were too many chats. When asked if the clerk of court, Becky Hill, was inserting herself into the process of the trial, juror 326 responded, I can see this. Okay. Memorandum from Becky Hill. Oh, what's this? We're almost done. Memorandum from Rebecca Hill, May 9th, 2023. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Move myself out of here. We're almost done. Page 63. Okay. So to DreamWorks, aka Texas Cruise Productions LLC, from Rebecca Hill. So I guess she wrote them something. Texas Cruise Productions LLC. Dear Blank, I'm looking forward to your upcoming docuseries on the Murdaugh case, and I hope you'll be able to use some of my interviews, or some of my interviews should you choose, because I'm an elected official. We'll need to modify 3 clauses in the location agreement if you presented me as it relates to my authority. Please change the word owner to Carleton County and every reference in the agreement. 3 dates and location fee. Ooh. Lowcountry Story LLC agrees to pay the Carleton County Treasury a fee of $1,000 per day for use of the Carleton County courthouse facilities. So long as it does not supersede any court proceedings, payment will be made by the close of production. 10. Miscellaneous. Carleton County, South Carolina can only enter into a legal agreement for services if it is to be governed here in South Carolina, not New York. As an elected official, I have no authority outside of the state of South Carolina. Sincerely, Rebecca Hill. Oh, shit. Also, in exchange for the use of the likeness of Rebecca Hill in an interview, I can't read that. What the hell is this? A unique something of 5-second video and audio clip will accompany the usage of the first reference. The book Behind the Doors of Justice of murders will be shown and audio will be included. Becky's introduction as clerk of court for call for county and author of book. So she's over here kind of promoting the book, I guess, a bit too. $1,000 per day. Shavir said, I changed my vote on the poll. That woman should absolutely lose her job. Well, definitely be investigated. Oh, a minimum of 0.5. All right, man. Wow. I wasn't expecting this from the stream today because I had heard earlier that from I had multiple texts from people like, yo, Mel, like this thing's happening. I'm like, we got to cover it. We got to cover it because I felt like this is one of those stories that's kind of close to us a bit because that ride of that trial was a ride. That shit at some points dragged, and the whole financial thing. What a just a crazy story, man. I don't know. I'm wondering, imagine Murdaugh gets another trial. Imagine this guy gets I don't know. I think it's possible. There's going to have to be some internal investigations that go on. There's going to have to be, I mean, there's multiple jurors that have come forward. I don't know that somebody would just concoct this whole thing of like these weird private conversations with certain jurors going on between the allegedly the court of clerks, or like this whole withholding of cigarettes, or two of the jurors going in the bathroom together, and like, what the hell is going on in that courtroom? And even the judge from the transcript questioning it himself, like, I wish she didn't interrogate the juror. And the guy's like, yeah, it's kind of sus. Like, I mean, he didn't say sus, I'm just paraphrasing, kind of. Maybe not even. It's just kind of weird. It's weird. Them Murdaugh boys, man, they're coming back. Why was Alex doing interviews from jail during the trial via Jim Griffin as three-way calls? Was he doing that? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What is A&D time? I must know. A&D time, baby. The hell is that? Some country shit. I don't know. All right. Oh, so later today I'm posting. I don't have any notifications until like 8 or 9. I made an update video for this story. It's gonna be like let's see, about 13 minutes long. I set it up as a premiere. The only reason I set it up as a premiere because of the limitation of notifications. So I'm gonna move you guys at the end of the stream to that one, just to hit reminder, hit the like button, subscribe. Appreciate that. And I think we're good for now. Let me go spend some time with the baby. Also, don't forget to check out the PayPal and the lawsuit that I have going on. All right, check that out. I'll just put that there. The link's in the description. Okay, boom. I'll just put that there. Just a little reminder. And we haven't gotten a chase in a while either. I don't know what's going on. No chases for now, but that's okay, I guess. That's the PayPal stuff. So thanks to everybody that could help out with that or share the link. Thank you. Brian Enton posted a video on interviewing one of the jurors' lawyers. Did he? Is it on Twitter? Brian Enton. Oh, yes. Let's take a look at it. There you go. Let's go. Let's take a look at this before we head out. Thank you.
Is a South Carolina. I want to bring in Joe McCullough. He is a South Carolina attorney who actually represents two of the jurors who spoke to the defense. Can you
Look at Enton going on with the button down and shit open. Look at Enton.
Tell us, sir, why the jurors felt it was important to come forward with this information.
Well, I don't want to get into their motivations. They reluctantly agreed to talk to the defense. They told the defense the best of their recollections. And, this is one of those chips fall where they may. I mean, I have a lot of regard for the clerk of Colleton County, and it's unfortunate that we find ourselves here. So it's hard.
And like all these people know each other and shit too.
Hard to say where this goes.
I mean, it makes sense, I guess, in the courtroom type of shit, but I don't know. Sometimes it seems like they're friends and shit too. I don't know.
But it is a challenge to our court system now to evaluate all this and determine what is the next right thing to do.
And these were sworn affidavits from the jurors basically saying that the clerk was talking about the defendant. And according to the defense, they came forward because they were upset about that. Is it possible that they're also upset now with the verdict, with the way they chose to vote guilty?
Well, I don't want to talk about the motivations. I think that the really long motion, 65 pages, I think, pretty much spells out the defense position and their concern about whether or not there was interference with this jury's process. And that's such an important fundamental part of our criminal justice system. It all fails if we don't have fair trials. So that's what this is about.
We spoke to you a lot during the trial, Joe. You're an expert on South Carolina law. You're an expert on this case. I mean, you were there for most of the trial. Do you think this warrants a new trial for Alex Murdaugh? Do you think that's what needs to happen if all of this turns out to be true?
Well, I hate to engage in what ifs. I will say that the assertions by the defense today,
if it turns out to be true, yes. I mean, I don't know. It's not really a
buttressed by statements made by people I represent. They're serious, and there certainly is a way that our court could find that this cannot be assigned as harmless error. But we'll have to wait for the court to do its work.
It's going to be interesting to see the way this turns out. Thank you so much, Joe.
Nothing boring about this case.
No, and thanks for always talking to us. We appreciate it, Joe. So you heard him, Nicole. I mean, listen.
Teabag. It's a weird picture. Murdaugh, Mel Murdaugh. Teabag. So, yeah, man, I guess that's it for now, man. Thank you guys so much for riding with me today. I appreciate it. I'm going to go chill out, get something to eat, hang with the baby. And, yeah. Oh, and tonight at 9 o'clock, short video dropping. It's kind of crazy. The update that I have for that Ruby Frankie is kind of crazy. So, catch you guys later tonight. Bye. Thank you. Adios.